Hey ladies, what's up? Welcome to day 5 of the season of growth. And I wanted to end it with a bang. And I think this lady here is the bang with planning and showing you how to take all the steps that we've been talking about for this entire week, putting them together and using them to craft your fabulous life now. So I am introducing Angelica Miller. She is a beast and a boss. She not only does things with planning, but she also helps people just like, that's just her shtick. She just helps people get things together and seeing how all the pieces can fit. So Angelica, tell them a little bit about you and how you serve and all that good stuff.
Oh, well, hello, everyone. I'm Angelica G Miller. And first of all, it is an honor to be here. I feel very privileged to be able to talk to you today. So a little bit about my background. I've spent probably 20 plus years helping top executives at a Fortune 500 company, not only here in the United States, but globally. So I'm able to see a really big picture holistically of what an executive needs. And in that process, me starting my own business and listening to my friends and networking, seeing some of the struggles that they have, saying, well, I feel like I'm dealing with my business all the time and I can't fit the family piece in. And I say that's a no-no.
Yeah.
You should be able to do both. It's just being more strategic about what you do in your day and making sure you're planning those priorities for date nights, for spending time with your kids, for be able to do your meal prepping, just all those different things that do the 360 of life.
Yes.
So, because it's not just I'm at work, you got that really important piece, which is your family. So what I try to do is pull that all together for you. And it's kind of sometimes easier for a person from the outside looking in to say, oh, you just need to do this one thing. And my thing is that when people hear time management, they kind of cringe. But time management, you have to remember, it is not a one size fits all. Time management is you have to figure out what works for you because everybody's life is different. No one's life is the same. No one, even you might have the same job, but you do it totally different than the person sitting next to you. So you have to figure out what are those key things that makes your day work, basically.
And that's something that you mentioned that's so important that I harp on a lot with the ladies in my community is integration. That this idea that was mainly brought up by cisgendered white men of you can just go and focus on your business.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you are a mom and a wife and an entrepreneur and, whatever other roles, chauffeur, cook, you can't just go, well, today I'm just going to work on my business. Well, what are you going to do with that 3-year-old that's yelling in the corner? Or this, for me, in my case, the 18-year-old who has senior pictures, who has like all of these different facets. I just can't sit and say, well, on Monday from 9 to 2, I'm going to put on my blinders and I'm not going to focus on my family. Like that piece right there is so important for women to come to grips with.
Mm-hmm.
And to flow with it versus fighting against it and being overwhelmed all the time.
And I love that you said flow with it, because I have found, working full time, the 9 to 5, creating my own business, trying to help other women with their business, that there were days where I would be taking my son to football practice. Well, while he was at practice, I'm sitting in my car working. So those 2 hours he's practicing, those are 2 hours I can work on my business. I'm with him. He's doing what he needs to do. And then when he's done with practice, it's all about my child and my husband again. But those 2 hours, you just have to be really smart about how do you utilize your time. There are times I'm sitting in a doctor's office, you get your appointment and then they leave you sitting in the waiting room for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I utilize those 45 minutes either to listen to a webinar, read a book that I need to read, maybe write some scripts. It just depends, but I'm going to utilize that time to my advantage. Even though I might be irritated with them that they got me sitting there, I'm using it to do what I need to do.
How do you set your day up like that to know where to add those pockets and how to utilize those pockets?
So when you're So one thing I have to say to every single woman who is listening to this is the night before you go to bed, look at your calendar. Never wonder, well, when you get up, well, what do I got to do today? You need to look at it the night before, because then when you get up, you already have in your mind. And then maybe even that morning, sometimes I look at my calendar too, just to make sure I didn't miss something. But the night before and first thing in the morning, after you do your mind and body healing, I always say, don't start looking at that stuff until you take care of you first. But look at that and say, okay, I scheduled out my week. I know my I got to take them to practice. I know I have a doctor's appointment. I know I need to do this. So within those moments, don't just say, oh, I got to go and I'm just sitting there. In those moments, say, well, I'm going to utilize that time fully to my advantage. If I'm sitting there for an hour, I'm going to be doing something. If I wanted to read a book, if I needed to write, do some content, pull that all together. Make sure I keep my laptop with me all the time, because
Okay.
you never know when you get those special moments,
You don't.
and so, they say we have 24 hours, 16 of those, you're probably, really awake doing things, but you gotta really strategically look at, and don't make it feel like, oh my gosh, this is a chore. It's just, hey, I got this extra time. Let me utilize it to its full potential.
Versus like trolling Facebook, like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, because
I got 15 minutes. Let me, and 15 turns into 30 and you still trolling Facebook because you was afraid that you didn't have enough time.
yes, because that 15 minutes, you could have made a cold call and got you a client.
Oh.
You're sitting there waiting, do a cold call, get you a client.
And see, it's things like that, because I know that I felt, and a lot of women feel like, like we were saying, well, I only have 15 minutes, or I don't have enough time, and I think that's the reoccurring thing. I don't have enough time. But like you were saying, knowing what needs to be done the day before. So then as those pockets appear outside of anything else you may have planned, as those pockets appear, then you can move into action versus spending 15 minutes trying to get yourself together, and then, by the time you move into action, now you got 5 minutes left and now you really.
Right. Like I know every day I'm driving for half hour to 45 minutes, and there are several webinars that I take, and you don't have enough time sometimes in the day to do a webinar. Well, I know it's 45 minutes to my job and 45 minutes back home. Well, while I'm doing those 45 minutes, I'm doing the webinars. I'm listening to the webinars that I have. So it's just taking those open time and filling it with something that's important. Don't just fill it with nothing, or fill it with your thumb flicking through Facebook. Fill it with something that's going to level you up, to take you to the next level.
So how does a woman get clear on her priorities so that she can know how to flow with her plan throughout the day?
So one thing you need to do is literally, I feel, especially this time of year, you need to sit down and actually, what are your goals? What do you really want to do in 2020? And it's not just, oh, I want to lose weight. I know that's kind of the easiest one. Well, what do you want? What do you want to lose weight for? What is that key goal that you want to do? So for me is sitting down, and it doesn't have to be this whole day thing. You could do it. You say, I got 2 hours. I'm going to go to a coffee house. I'm going to go to the library and sit quietly with myself, and then say, okay, this is my goal. Okay, I got the main goal. Now, why do you really want to do that goal?
Yeah.
What is the purpose?
Yeah.
If you in your heart is like, oh, it's just a nice to have, that's not your goal. Skip that and go to the next one. But it has to be something that puts a fire in you. It really has to be something that puts a fire in you. And then once you figure out what that goal is, then you need to ask yourself, what do I need to do? What small steps do I need to do to get me to that main goal?
Okay.
And I think where a lot of people get nervous at is like, oh, they see that big goal. Well, that's the end, but there's a lot of little tiny steps you could take that can get you to that big goal. Before you know, it's like, oh my gosh, I got the whole goal done.
Right.
And then you have to have action plans. I'm like, you literally have to work your calendar and fit the things in. You can't just say, okay, here's my main goal. These are the things I need to do, and then do nothing. They're not going to happen.
No.
You have to schedule them every week. You need to break down that sub goal into little smaller pieces where you could fit it in 15 minutes here, 20 minutes here.
Oh.
You know, so don't feel like, I think where a lot of people get overwhelmed is they see this big goal and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get to it. But I break it down into small enough pieces where I feel like every day I accomplish something. So my thing for you is to, for your audience is to say, every day, what are the 3 goals that I can do to get me closer to that main goal? Just pick 3 small ones. And it's easier to get those done. And then you feel like you have actually accomplished something. And then the next day, what are those next 3 goals that's going to get me closer to it? And usually, sometimes you think, oh, it's going to take me 6 months. You can usually get it done within a month sometimes. And it's like, wow.
That focused.
Yeah, with that focus, if you just keep breaking it down in smaller pieces and not making yourself seem like, I got to do this huge, I got to make this huge leap. It's not the huge leap, it's the small little steps that get you closer to that bigger goal.
I love it. And also thinking about, like, you broke down the prioritization of it, because when you said add the why and making sure that thing juices you up, because you're right. If it's just something that's like, it'd be nice to have, like, you'll be juiced up for about maybe a week, maybe a good week. And then you'll find something else that lights you up and you'll flutter off to the next thing. And and sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it is because your why isn't strong enough. You don't know why you're going after something or what's going on with it. So you don't deem it important until it's painful again.
Right. And then also remember, if it doesn't light a fire in you, it's easy for you to say, I don't need to do that.
Right. I can put it off. I'll start next week.
Yeah. You can keep procrastinating on it.
I'll start next week.
It's not like, I want to save $100. Why do you want to save $100? Well, I want to save $100 because I need to send my son to swimming lessons. Well, that's a big enough fire for you because your child really wants to go swimming.
Right.
He wants to learn how to swim. So you saving that $100 has a true meaning behind it. Is your son being able to go to swimming practice? But you have to have something. What is the why behind it? And don't make it just vague. Never make it vague.
Not because I want it. Sometimes it's not good enough.
No. Not at all.
Start, but because
too, when you feel like and if you have that fire and when you hit that wall, like you can't seem to get over that wall, that fire is going to keep you like, okay, I'm stuck, but I'm going to keep going. Maybe a little bit, another day is going to keep you trying to climb that wall versus when you hit it, it's like, oh, well, I don't want to do it anymore. That fire is really going to help you elevate.
So what parts do you think that accountability kind of plays into your goal setting, your goal achieving, your action steps? Is this something that people can do on their own, or do you think that's in some ways, and not saying paid accountability, but even if it's another sister friend who's on the journey or a group of people that you're working with, what?
Yeah, I think accountability is very important because we can get stuck in our own heads and make things seem harder than they really are and bigger than they really are. And when you have that sounding board of someone that truly understands, someone that is not just going to be like, oh yeah, girl, you got it. No, you need someone to say, no, that's not the right way too. You have to have an accountability person that will give you the good and the bad. But having an accountability partner will help you elevate a little bit more and actually help you through that fog. Because a lot of us, and I know in my business last year, I was just, and part of this year, I wasn't sure what avenue. There were so many things I wanted to do. And I felt like I wasn't clear. And having that accountability buddy actually helped me. And then I have paid coaches, and paid coaches really help you because you're like, I don't want to waste my money, But I think you should, to me, you should have a accountability, someone you're paying. And if you, and I'm not saying you got to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but someone that you're paying to help elevate you to that next level. And then I think you need an accountability buddy that's you're not paying, is just someone that really wants, that's in that same environment that you are as an entrepreneur, that's going through the same struggles or have gone through the struggles that you're
Right.
going through.
And they want to see you win.
Right, right. Because my thing is, while you're creating you, you need to be creating her. So as you're creating yourself, you need to be pulling that sister up with you
Right.
and helping her. And but I really, really, truly believe in accountability buddies.
So in how women deal with their schedules and this whole integration piece. So I know we kind of talked about, and I know from my mind, I always go to the business part first because that's just me. I had to learn how to integrate my family. I had to teach myself that because I was under this old model of, well, just bump the family, do the business, and everything else will fall into place. That's not how it happens, right?
Right.
How it happens most of the time is that if your family is not in order, and even using these steps to use in your family life, like these are transferable, right, into your
Yes.
family life as well, and making sure that whatever goals you have for your family are on point and on track, and
Right.
using your team and your family to get these things together. That's so important as well.
Right.
And having ways like the one tip you gave of looking at that the night before, having your plan and a place, so where what's going on, so when your feet hit the floor, you can go running. I really liked your tip of finding that space in the day. What are some other things that women can do to execute the action plans that they set up, and some ways that they can hold themselves accountable without, outside of their accountability partners or coaches or things like that? What are some ways they can track to begin to hold themselves accountable?
So one thing so this is the time of year that you're going to be looking at 2020. And a couple of things that I feel you should automatically have with you as you're sitting down to make your plan. And what I call it, and what they call it in business, is time architecture. What is
Oh,
your time architecture? So what I mean by that is what are the standard meetings that you have in your business that's every week or everybody that happens at least within a month, that you have to have them. So like staff meetings or your budget meetings. For your family, you need to pull in all your kids' calendars. So you know what's going on. So these are the things so as you're building your time architecture also includes, when do you want to take vacation? There are 4 quarters in a year. So every four quarters, you should be doing something. I'm not saying you got to travel, but you should be planning a vacation, something, even if it's a stay-at-home vacation, to get you out of the office and away from everything, so you're able to create more. You come back rejuvenated. So you're looking at your vacations, you're looking at your doctor's appointments, you're looking at your kids' schedules, and you're looking at your work schedule. And holistically, you're going to build out your time architecture for 2020. And this is not hard. It's something that might take you a few hours, but because you know your schedule, you know when I'm going to use this, say you need to create videos. So you know that in your time architecture, every Thursday for 3 hours, I'm creating videos for YouTube, Facebook, or whatever. So you're building that into that structure. So when you're looking at your monthly view, I got doctor's appointments, I have my staff meetings, I have to create content, I have to take videos. You're building that into that whole structure. That way you could do a quick glance. Print this and put it on your wall to say, okay, today I got to do this. And I'm in the midst of planning that for an executive now, where we are looking at, because you have people, and this is where the time architecture works for you, because as people come in that are outside of your realm saying, I need your time for this, I need to do, can you do this podcast interview? Well, you already know If they say 8 a.m., 8 to 10, no, that's my staff meeting time. I can't do it then. But you could say, I can offer you this time.
Okay.
You have to start keeping your time sacred. When they're on your schedule, it's okay to say no, because you built this out to help you. You have to learn to stop allowing other people to come in on, especially when they haven't planned their timing properly. It's a rush for them, but that doesn't mean it's a rush for you. So when you're looking at your time architecture of, when your meetings are, what your family needs, your vacations, and all of that, when things come in from the outside world that want to take up your time, you could say, no, I have an hour here to give you. And one thing I love to do is just give people 3 options, but not in the same week. So I'll give you, you want an hour with me? I'm going to pick an hour in 3 different weeks. And I'm like, these are your options. Let me know which one you decide.
Wow.
And then once they take it, it comes off the calendar. It goes on the calendar. And then I go to that next person and say, okay, I have this amount of time. These are the dates and times. What one works for you? You are in control of your schedule. Don't let other people control your schedule. So you can say what works for you. These are the times I have. What ones work? And if those don't work, don't feel scrambled like you have to get them in your calendar within those couple of weeks. Then I push them out to the next month. It's like, okay, these didn't work in November. Okay, December, here's what I have available.
That is so empowering, because so often we allow people to come in at the last minute and go, oh my God, I forgot to do this. Can you, especially again, when you have kids in school, or even if you're dealing with things with family or even church, I find if somebody bows out in last minute, can you do X, Y, and Z? And we feel obligated to these places to show up and just bust our own boundaries. Right. And show up, and then we're exhausted and we mad, and we're saying, well, such and such asked me to do this and I had to do it. Mm-hmm. And she's just telling you, no, you don't have to do it. You give them the options of what you can do, but remembering your time architecture and what you already said was important. And you have to remember what you said was important, and not allowing, because external forces are always going to come in and try to go, hey, look, can you do something else? Can you stretch this rubber band for me? I need you to do this. People are always going to come in and do that to you. And when you start to set those boundaries of giving them that space, they're not going to be happy in the beginning, but they'll be all right.
Well, one thing I do want to make important to you, when you give your, whoever this external person is, when you're giving them those 3 different options, like Monday from 9 to 10, Thursday from 3 to 4, or Friday from 2 to 3. Make sure you're holding those times on your calendar. That way you're not giving up time that you already semi-promised to someone else.
Oh, so you're not double booked now.
You're not double booking.
Okay.
So, and what I usually do is, like, say, podcast interview, option 1 of 3. And then I go to the other date that I gave them. I go podcast interview, option 2 of 3. And then on that third time I gave them, I say podcast interview, option 3 of 3. And I actually put within that, I say pending whoever that person is. So that way, when I'm looking at my schedule and I'm notice, hey, these haven't been, another important thing, you need to color code them. Anything that is not concrete in your schedule is yellow. So when you're looking at your calendar, you're like, okay, I got these yellow spots. This means I offered them to someone and they have not gotten back to me yet. So then that's when I send an email saying, hey, these times I offered you these options. Are you going to use them? Because I need to give them to other clients that are looking for my time.
Wow. That is huge. And making sure, because that's how I used to get double booked a lot, is that you offer people stuff, and then in my head I would go, okay, well, this person's going to take this option, but that's never how it worked out. Right. It would always end up being 2 people wanting the same option, and then you have to go back and tell somebody, well, that's not like available anymore, or right. anything like that. And it just adds so much more chaos than, again, if you're using that color coding system. And what appointment colors mean one particular thing. I use that with my family. I just started using it with my business, which has been fabulous. But with my family, we have like school stuff in one color, family outings like in another color, so that when the kids know, because my kids all have their device age, so when they know to look at colors to know how to plan out their stuff and how to put their stuff on the calendar.
Yeah.
That's super.
Color coding is so important. I cannot tell you, because you can look at your schedule for a week and quickly know, I got some executive meetings here, I got some family time here, here's some me time, here's my vacation, I got to travel. Make sure you're adding travel time in, because you know that's important. If you're transitioning, add that into your schedule. But make sure you're holding those times that you give people, that you're potentially giving away to people. And like you said, it helps with double booking. It helps you understand what is truly going on in your calendar, because I think that's where a lot of people get frustrated. I hear people's like, well, I can't remember who I gave this to. As soon as I give it, before I go to the next thing on my list to do, I'm blocking those times out on my schedule. And I'm including that email or whatever the message was. So when I click on it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's what that was about. Because a lot of times I'm like, well, why did I put that on my schedule? Well, because this person asked for it. So anything that's pertinent to that meeting automatically goes inside of that particular hold. So I never have to question, or if someone from my team has to come and look at the schedule, this stops a lot of calls, extra emails. They can go right in, click in, it's like, oh, okay, that's what's going on. They don't have to stop and take time from you when they could look right in the email and the meeting notice and say, okay, this is what this is about.
So what I hear you saying that I don't know if people are picking up on is that this is a flow, ladies. This is not something that you set and forget and walk off. It's something that you have to actively have your hands on. And it might seem like a lot, but it's not, because you have to think of the long game. The long game is that if you sit in and forget it, you're going to have a hot buttered mess. Yep. Whereas if you're constantly engaged in what you're doing and how things are set up, it becomes really quick, is what I noticed. Once you get it down, like the first setup is going to be your longest, right? Because you're trying to figure out what colors you want things, how do you want things to look. But as you actively start working in it and using it, it becomes like, oh, click, 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 flow. It becomes very simple, and it becomes integrated into your day. So I hope you heard that this is not, I'm not the kind of set it and forget it type of girl, because life flows and changes and shifts. And if you leave something alone for too long, it's going to get effed up. So, making sure that you are engaged in all areas of your life. This is something that's going to require you to engage and to be present and to know what's going on. So she's not giving you, like, she's giving you great quick tips, but in order for them to work, you're going to have to be willing to engage with your life in a way that you may not have ever engaged with it before. And it's going to feel weird. Your ego or whatever is going to tell you, oh my God, this is too much, bump this, why are you doing all this stuff? Just go back to what you were doing. Well, if what you were doing was working, you wouldn't have such a mess with your schedule now. So being open to trying things that might seem a little weird, but just might change your life and how you interact with your day.
Right. It's yeah, like you said, it's when you're not used to it, getting it set up might seem a little bit weird, and it might take you a week or two to get used to it. But I promise you, once you get it going, it's just a quick, like, oh, okay, that's what that color means. It's just your day flows, and people will not be overwhelming your schedule with things that they need. Because also those people that come in from the outside, that unprepared, or they're offering you something, this kind of goes back to your goals. If it's not part of your main goal, it's easy for you to say no.
Exactly.
If it's not going to help feed your main goal, it's a nice to have, but it's not for you where you are at in your personal and business right now. It's okay to decline, because that opens up other opportunities for you. Right. But don't just take any and everything that really doesn't even fit with what you want to do.
Exactly. And I always have this thing where when I say no to people, I'm opening, like you said, I'm opening them up to who's really supposed to be blessing them with whatever is
Mhm.
going on.
Right.
That by me saying yes, and that's what I've learned, by me saying yes to stuff that didn't fit in with how I wanted my life to be or anything like that, I was blocking them and me, because I was never fully present when I did it, because I was either pissed off or rushing because I'd agreed to so many other things.
Right.
So I never was fully present or fully did my best when I was there.
Right.
So making sure that those things get back in and mesh back together, that integration piece is huge. This is, like Angelica said earlier, this is not a um all about just your business, or these are things that can work in all areas of your life, and you really have to get your life to play together. Otherwise you're going to be overwhelmed, and you're going to keep picking up ish that
Mhm.
is not taking you anywhere other than the frustration and exhaustion.
And I know some of us feel guilty. Oh, if I say no, well, you're going to say no nicely, but you're just like, hey, this is not for me. But hey, I know this person that would fit really well within their business. Offer them someone else
Right.
if that would make you feel less guilty. But you have to start saying no to things. We cannot do everything for
No,
everybody.
no, we cannot at all. This has been so fabulous. Oh my gosh. All of these nuggets. I hope you ladies have been taking notes, and just really soaking this in. Again, all of my speakers, you have to listen. Like, they're dropping diamonds in the sand, and you have to be listening to pick them up. I mean, some of these things that Angelica is talking about is so simple, yet it's sometimes the things that we don't do to take our life and things to the next level, especially with planning. We have this tendency to just take stuff and just throw a whole bunch of stuff on there that has nothing to do with nothing. And she gave you like the blueprint, like the entire blueprint for knowing how all of this can help you in your life and can work for you. So Angelica, what is it that you have for my audience that can really help take them to the next level with this, and help support them with the things that they've learned from you today?
Well, I have one thing out there right now where I'm helping 5 women-owned businesses. They can work with me for 12 weeks.
Ooh.
Uh, and I will help them understand what their goals are, and get a plan in place and work with them for 12 weeks where will all be virtual. You'll get a copy of my planner within this program. And we would work 12 weeks together. Through once a month, we would meet live through Zoom and actually be able to talk and converse and see where you're at, and how can we holistically make your 2020 crushing it.
Mm.
We want you to crush your 2020 plans, and I really would like to help 5 women do this. So I'm on Facebook. So if you go to my Facebook page, my business page, Angelica G Miller, you'll see the links in there where you can sign up for that program.
And they'll also be underneath the video too, guys.
Okay, and they can fill out the application, because I want to make sure you and I are able to connect.
I love it.
And then the first official date is December 12th, where you'll start getting more information from me. But our first live class would be January 7th. It's $100 for that. It usually costs $1,500 to work with me one-on-one. So I'm really serious about helping women and taking them to the next level. So it would be just $100 for this. It would be 5 of us in a group, so it'll be exciting to bounce ideas off of other entrepreneurs
Yeah.
that are in the same boat, and we would just build your 2020.
That is so
So, yeah,
awesome. And she'll be using the techniques and even going deeper into that than what she did here, which is
yes.
going to be so awesome.
And then
And
also, if you can't, sometimes that's not in the pocketbook at the time. If you go to my website, Angelica G Miller, you can, there's a free download for my 30-day workbook to help you start really thinking about your goals and start getting them into play. And the workbook actually asks you those deep questions, and it makes you look at your life in 360 view. So it's your mind and body, family and friends, career and business, and financial abundance. You have to look at all those
yeah,
areas.
serious.
Yeah.
And that's important. I'm happy you kind of touched on that, even, is knowing where your life areas are and what they're doing. It's going to help you to determine what goals you need to be setting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. That download is going to really help people to begin to look at those pieces, the small pieces that make up the whole, which is your life.
Right.
And that's really what Angelica was talking about today, is the whole. Although we touched on business and we touched on family life and all that other stuff, she talked about what a lot of us, which is something I need to work on, is setting up vacation time and having that vacation time already plugged into your calendar, because you need that to rejuvenate. If your mind is going all the time, at some point you're going to crash and burn or go crazy, which is kind of like crashing and burning. But but having that in your planner, in your schedule, making that a regular thing.
Mm-hmm.
She gave you the tools to show you how to make that a regular thing with her. Oh, that time architecture is fabulous. And just creating and building a foundation so that you know what needs to be done, what's already on there naturally. Like, we get our kids, most school districts put out calendars 2 years in advance.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you probably already have the one for next year now.
Mm-hmm.
And, also, if you work at a traditional 9 to 5, you already know what days your office is closed. Most of us, like things that are annual, like physicals and eye appointments and stuff, you already pretty much know. Now take all of the things that you already know and put it into, she's showing you how to put it into a format that's going to serve you, and not be a thing where you grab your phone and go, oh shit, I forgot I had an eye appointment.
Right.
Oh my goodness, I forgot I had this. Oh, I didn't know the kids were out of school. Like, where your life, she's showing you how to create more flow in your life, which is so important as you move forward, because without that, you're going to always feel overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to always be upset or something, or trying to put out fires. I hear a lot of women say, I'm always trying to put out fires.
Mm-hmm.
If you're always trying to put out fires, that means there's no flow at all. And she just told you how to get flow. So hope you listened. If not, rewind it, go back, get your notepad, start all over.
That's hilarious.
I don't even think you know the bombs that you dropped, because to you it's just so natural.
Right? It's just natural. It's just what I do, 5 days a week, and actually 7 for myself, but it's just 5 days a week. This is,
Because you just spit it out like, yep, this is what you do. And even I'm like, oh, okay, okay. I told you, her level of how to see things is just beyond my level of understanding. And I'm cool with saying that, because I don't want to be good at everything. I'm good with that. I love to have sister friends that I can go to that have their own zone of genius that I have the privilege of tapping into, which is so great to share with you guys. Angelica, this was so much fun, and I learned so much good stuff. Oh my goodness. This is going to be awesome. This is the final day of the summit, and that's why I ended it with her, because she basically summed up everything over these past 4 days into this 5th day, and showing you how to use it in your life to get it all the way together. Like this, she was perfect for this. That's why I chose her for it. Thanks so much for joining us. Angelica G Miller, thank you for being with me and for giving me your time. I'm happy that you had space for me, because I was last minute Sally. So I appreciate that.
okay, you're gonna make me cry. This was actually wonderful, lady. So I so enjoyed being here and then talking with you. So thank you very much for thinking of me.
Thank you,
My
ladies.
sister friend.
See you
Bye.
later. Bye.